Well, she's no, I'm all joking. That girl, she is a godsend, like, as you know. Oh,
Here we are.
hi, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live. I'm Jackie Rose. This is Lisa Didden. Welcome to Hope After the Landslide. Before we come on, we're usually catching up. Lisa's over in New Jersey. I'm in Bend, Oregon, totally opposite ends of the
Mm.
country, catching up on weather and everything. And then I finally just said, I'm I I'm glad that we're here tonight, but
Mm,
I'm just really tired from getting ready to prepare for this retreat that we are
right.
leaving for. Gonna get to be with 35 amazing women, and just showing them the love of Jesus, and just yeah, guiding them on their path to getting closer to you and to heal from this time, this horrible time of losing our
Mm,
child. And so welcome all of you that are out there. And okay, I'm going to call you out. If you guys are just coming on, if it's for the first time, I understand. But I just want to say to everybody, don't be shy.
mm,
Put your name in the comments for us. We really do want to see your name. We want to see your child's name. We want to be able to say your child's name out loud, and we'll do our best that we can as we're going back and forth. So tonight we continue on with the topic of held in darkness. Hi, Iris. Um, and this one, I just switched the title and called it "Let Me Be Me."
mm.
I think I say that quite often to a lot of people when I do some of my crazy Jackie antics. I'm like, "It's not for you, but let me be me," you know. And as we're grieving, we all are going to go through something completely different. Circumstances is how we lost a child, and just our own personalities and our own little fetishes and things, and just whatever we need to do, just let us be us, right? You know, if
Yeah.
we, and unless we are doing things that are negative coping devices. So grief changes you. I mean, let's
Mm,
face it. It's just going to change you. It's something that just happens. You have no control over it, just like you didn't have any control over the loss of your child. And so the version of you that existed before your child's death won't return. And that's not failure. We'll just call it transformation. Hello, Karen. Welcome. So we've got Arkansas also on here. Randy
yeah.
was stationed in Arkansas, so he and Marseille lived there at the very beginning in Little Rock
Mm.
at the Air Force Base that's there.
Wow.
Uh, so we are granting you permission to release the pressure to get back to normal and instead accept that God is gently creating something new, even in these ruins. So that's what this whole
Mhm.
thing is that remember, just let me be me.
Mm.
Let me be me, unless our friends need to come alongside us and they need to say, hey, you know, Lisa, it's time for you to get out of the house. I want to say there's a quote or a comment somebody made that said, if you don't get outside of your house, you're going to live in your mind.
Wow.
So,
Mm.
and I thought that was very profound. So it's really important to have friends to come alongside you.
And your mind in these grief trauma-stricken days is not so reliable to keep you going. I mean, you really have to get out. And I was telling Jackie, and we'll talk about that at some other time, about how on the front page of our local paper it said doctors are now writing prescriptions to get outside for your health. And I think that could be said about grief as well, as much as hard as it is some days. But you know what I wrote here, which is so cool.
Don't
But
forget to bring the article, by the way.
I will bring it to the retreat. I didn't
Make
even
sure
I
it's
think
packed
I
up.
read it, yeah, just it was just based on a bunch of
Did you pack it?
research. I haven't packed a thing. So I have all day tomorrow. So, it is what it is.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But don't
Okay.
forget it's 50 degrees here. So I'm kind of like I'm not putting summer clothes away because it's going to be 85 there. So yeah, it's the whole thing.
I know.
But anyway, yeah.
Hi, Vicky, and I'm gonna just say your son Eric's birthday is today. Well, happy birthday to Eric. He would have been 36, but forever
Uh
29. God bless you,
Well,
Vicky.
yeah, Vicky, my son would have been 36 just a couple weeks ago, October 17th.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and he would be forever 28. So we're kind of
Hmm.
in line there, sadly. Yeah. So, and what you said too before, grief changes you. Trauma, I think our grief is so severe, mother's grief. There's so much trauma involved. There's trauma with a lot. I think there's a saying that not all trauma has grief, but all grief has trauma, something of that nature.
Mm, yeah.
And I think ours is definitely has an extra layer as a mother, for sure. I just
Mm,
believe that there's
definitely.
that connection is unique and close, and hopefully,
Mhm.
we'll have that again one day, but not right
Yes.
now. So, and while you were talking, I was just thinking, like, you always say you get downloads from God. I don't know, it just came to me and I was like, you don't need there's no closure to our pain. I mean, it's there. It's not that it softens or what have you. As time moves on, you build your life around it, I've learned. But also, I think what's important is connection. So
Yeah.
if you're on here, even if you're just listening, just to have that connection, whatever you get out of it. And, not everybody wants to be the one that's talking, but if you want to listen and take whatever you can take in is great.
Yeah. Amen.
So,
Hi,
mhm.
Tracy. And Tracy's, is it John two or John
Jean
two?
Jean
John
I
two?
think it's
John
like
two.
Jantu.
Two. That's what I was going to say. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful name. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, Virginia. Lisa, I
Well,
think you've got the little next segment here.
oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, Jackie gives me my
Back to you, Lisa.
or a hand it swinging it back. Anyway, as you could tell, we're very versed commentators here. No, anyway. You
We're
know,
just
I
very tired right now.
the heading here, one of the talking points is, you don't owe the world your old self, and I always say, there's something to that, and that, not everyone deserves your story as well, but you try to survive in the early days, and who you are, you are. You do the best that you can do.
Right.
Sometimes you can be blunt. Sometimes you can be quiet. Some days you want to talk. Some days you don't. So it is who it is. It is what it is, and it's an evolution. So the other thing I wrote
Mhm.
down is we hope to evolve and not dissolve from our grief. Because,
Mm,
and I say this again, like I've broken open, the old me is gone in the sense of the naiveness of things that could happen, but um, also just living in the moment and in love and knowing what's important.
yeah.
Really, really, really knowing that. And
Did
so
you coin that phrase?
I did. I just wrote it. I could even show you.
You
We,
wrote it?
I did. I wrote it. We cho- choose
Wow.
to
That is a
evolve,
God
not
comment.
dissolve. I don't know.
Yep.
It was like,
Thank you, Jesus, for that. That's
yeah,
pretty
only in the sense that that's what I feel like I've done. Like I don't want to dissolve. I don't feel like I can honor my son um
yeah.
that way, like I think he would want me to evolve in some ways, and find some meaning and purpose and all this pain. But
Hold
God
on a
is
second. Look at hold
Mhm.
on. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna try to do my best at
Oh,
saying okay.
Maho,
So Maho's on here.
Maho, yeah.
Hi, Maho. Maho rhymes with Tahoe.
I know, for some reason I have a little part of my brain that can't connect.
That's what I'm telling him, and you know that, Maho. Maho's gonna be, teaching at our retreat, so I'm looking forward to giving her a big hug. Tracy, and it's her, named after the perfume Jean Tout, so it's beautiful.
Very
Bernadette,
nice.
hello from Florida. Um, lost your son April 7th, 2023.
Mm,
Fentanyl, yeah,
mm.
yeah. Hi, Marie from, Chicago, RJ's mom. Okay,
Yeah, Bernadette, I call fentanyl the other F word. It's horrible. You hear about it so many times. But anyway,
yeah.
um, so God isn't asking you to be that old person. At first I wasn't sure what he was asking of me. So, but as he's walking with you and the broken pieces of you, and you find and you learn the meaning through you breathing through the loss to go to his word. A lot of his word really speaks to this, which is wonderful in the sense that he's there for you, and that he's, he cried tears when Lazarus died. We're going to get to that. But yeah, so forget the former things. This is Isaiah 43:18, 19.
And you know what? And can I say something
Yeah,
like
please.
interject? Just speaking about Lazarus,
Oh yeah.
I was just thinking about like, it took Jesus 4 days to get to
Mm,
Lazarus, right?
wow.
So Lazarus was essentially in heaven. Could you imagine,
Hmm.
like, if all of a sudden they're up there and they're like, Lazarus, yeah, Lazarus, um, yeah, come over here. Jesus wants you to come back. And he's like, "I was just setting up my room. I was like," Do you know what I mean? Like, he was like, what a yeah, he probably didn't wanna come back, but Jesus said to him, so, yeah.
Well, and it's funny, I had seen this is kinda a little on topic, off topic, a little squirrel moment, but we went to see Tom Jones, a friend of mine. She was my roommate in college, she's
No, you
Jew
did not.
We did. We went to Atlantic City and saw he was really good. He was really good.
Really?
He was really good, and it was only, like, last year, I think. He couldn't move very well, he didn't do the hip thing, but
Oh my
but his
goodness.
voice was phenomenal. Anyway, the reason I say that is he has a song called Lazarus. It was really engaging and very,
Oh, okay.
very deep, and I thought, "Wow, that's really good."
Huh,
And it was about him, awakening again, and it really encompassed that. And,
huh.
my friend is Jewish. She didn't know the story. So afterward,
Really?
we went out to eat after, and I was like, "So wasn't that song at Lazarus?" She goes, "Yeah, what's that about?" And I thought,
Oh,
"Wow." Right? So I had to tell her, and she's
well,
like,
there's an opening.
we always had these conversations. Yeah, her son is actually she probably doesn't listen, but her son just actually converted to Christianity. But anyway, so yeah. So yeah, yeah. So if you
Wow.
ever get a chance to hear that song. But anyway,
I
yeah,
I don't know,
so
I just had to throw out a shout out to Lazarus. Like, way to
no,
go.
for sure. And
He didn't hide up in heaven somewhere. He was just like, "Alright, hey," he's like, "Hey, Moses and guys, I gotta go back. I'll see you again."
yeah. I got things to do. My journey's not over.
Right. Hi, Lynn, Carol, and hi, Terry. Get to see
Terry, yay.
yeah, I get to see Terry tomorrow and Christy.
And
Okay, I'm sorry,
Tara,
we're
yeah.
really
No,
interrupting
that's
a
okay,
lot.
that's okay. I was
You
just gonna read a Bible's quote here that
okay,
you want me to read? Anyway. Isaiah 43:18-19. "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do not do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." And so, no, I didn't see it at first. Who wants to see it? You don't want to see anything any kind of new way. But I
right,
think again, as you say, live expectantly and try to, and again, evolve, not dissolve. So what is it that, how am I supposed to perceive this? How am I going to grow from this?
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Well, it's hard to hear that saying, "Forget the former things," because
Right.
obviously, the part about the forget is not forgetting our child. The part we're forgetting is the trauma maybe that had happened, and just it's past. What has happened, and so when he's saying when he says, "See, I'm doing a new thing," it's like you're starting to come out of your landslide, so to speak,
Mm, mhm.
and you're the sky's clearing, the it's not dust, but it's like the snow, everything's clearing, and you can start seeing he's like, "Hey," he's like, "See?" He goes,
Mm,
"I'm doing a new thing," and I think that's what you gotta cling to.
mhm.
So, again, forget is not forgetting your child, forget is just, "Okay, that is that," right? And so now come on over here. He's making a
Mm,
way in this wilderness, and what is the short form of wilderness is wild. So the
right.
new part of the life is wild, meaning it's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to
Mm,
happen, but he's making a way into the wilderness, into the wild for us in this new journey.
right. And streams in the wasteland, which brings about such an opposite thought, right? Streams and then a wasteland, like what is that? So to look for that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible's deep. That's
Mm.
why I love it. It's really
Yeah,
deep.
no, and that's a part of me that has broken open to reading that a lot more, and when you read these things, like, wow, he's really talking to me in that moment.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's a lot
Hi,
of that.
Laura, and your son's name is Hunter and Christiane. Beautiful seeing you, and thank you
Mhm,
guys because these are some new names I'm seeing. So I love seeing that.
mm,
Uh,
mhm.
okay, so everybody wants me to be who I was. I'm sure everybody can relate that, right? Hi, Tracy. She
Yeah,
said
I
that
don't know.
is rich.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, and I think that's about their discomfort. I don't know that I cared too much about what people, to be
Mm,
honest, like, I don't, like, I just was surviving. So what it is. And, yeah, but I can be, and I think for the most part in my whole life, I've pretty much had stuff going on that I've kind of functioned through. And so maybe I went back to that game plan. Um,
mm,
and, I am back to a lot of who I was in terms of, like, joking around and stuff, but there's a huge part of me that's completely changed. Like, I don't put up with stuff or get upset about the little things. Like, I was just somewhere and I heard people complaining about these trivial things, and I thought to myself, "That's not even worth spending any time on." You
That's so
know, like,
true.
why even have that conversation?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and you almost wanna go and shake them up and go, "Do you not realize that you're like, this is not important?"
yeah.
You know?
Well,
Uh,
and you know what? And that's valid, Lisa. That's
yeah,
valid, and that's why we have this community of women
right.
that are in the same mentality of that, and that's not to say that we get disgusted with these people. That's to say that it's like,
No.
again, we have healed and our characters changed to another
Mm,
level, which I have identified as being a beautiful thing.
mm,
I mean,
mhm,
I could see the depth of, like, love that I have for Jesus, and last night, we for those of you that are here watching, is that we had our monthly leadership meeting, and that is, like, the time that it's like we all get to come together from literally places around the world,
mhm.
and, it varies on how many are on there, and it's like I like to hear from everybody, but at the same time, we have these conversations, and then, I can share and be myself, they can share and be themselves, and we can be raw and real, and then like the next day or even in the middle of that meeting, they're going to just pray or they're going to have my back on things that happened to me or things that happened to them. And like, you said, Lisa, it's like the things that happen to me are just so juvenile or whatever. And we're not even going to take waste breath on that, right? But the things that happen to us, it's like we have this, again, the skyscraper mentality
Mm,
we're
mm.
again, not that we're better, but everybody else is living, mingling in the normal everyday chaos, and then all of a sudden we're like,
No,
and we're over here.
you're so right. It's kinda like an out of body experience in some ways,
It
like, you're
is.
kinda, like, seriously, like, looking at the world through a completely different lens, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, 100%, and
Completely different lens.
you could let yourself go down a path that's, like, bitter,
Right.
and then you could be disgusted. Well, you're saying, that people want to see you be your old self and be who you were, and again, it's like people, again, they mean well, right?
Yeah, sure.
They mean well, and I've said this countless times, like, ladies and guys, if you're watching, it's like, don't get upset with people that say, let's just say it, dumb things or maybe insensitive things, because this is again a topic of conversation that nobody is comfortable with. Pastors from churches aren't even comfortable talking about this particular subject. So you've got friends that have seen you and
Mhm.
being silly or whatever it is, or going to a wedding and dancing and all that. And all of a sudden now you go someplace and you're activated by, oh, like, we had one of our leaders went to a wedding this past weekend when, it was her son's best friend that he would have been the best man. So now we
Right.
have to attend the wedding. I remember going to a wedding, people are wanting to pull me out on the dance floor. They're like, come on, let's dance. And normally that would be me. I'd be out there doing that. But I was like, my joy is a little bit more silent. It's not as observed. It's a little more docile, and that's okay.
Mhm, mhm. And
That's
I think
okay.
that the authenticity comes out more, like, you're more authentically who what you maybe you didn't even want. I don't know. Sometimes you didn't feel like dancing, but you did anyway, but now you're like, "No, you know what? I don't really want to." So you don't want to. You
Yeah,
know? So you're just being more authentic in some ways? I don't know. More
yeah.
true to yourself. You're doing what you need to do, to take care of you.
Well, yeah. And
So
and you can appreciate and take in when a friend,
Oh,
does pull you
absolutely.
out onto the dance floor, but I always just say, if I say no more than twice,
Mm.
then that's enough.
That's it.
Like, usually it takes me, I mean, for a lot of people, like, "Come on a dance floor." "No, I don't wanna go," and then they're like, "Oh, okay." They'll do that, but no, there's just a thing where it's like the joy is not inside,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
and if you're sad, you're not gonna be a good dancer, let's just say that. Just as since we're using that as an example.
And that's not true. It's funny because one of the things, when my daughter gave her little eulogy for Christopher, one of the things was he loved to dance. So there were four things.
Mm,
He always said, "I love you" whenever he left you, and he smiled all the time. And,
Christopher's eyes smiled when he
yeah, that's
yeah?
why it's hard for me to watch this. I said to you before for me to watch myself because I have a lot of similar
Hmm.
characteristics. I never noticed as much, but, because I didn't watch myself so much on video. But,
Right?
but he was like that, and so to dance, so I even still have friends saying, "Don't forget to dance," so yeah,
Hmm.
but it is hard to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but,
that's interesting, and, even by you saying that, Lisa, this is a part of your healing
mhm,
as you're having to look at you on the camera, like, I'm looking at
right.
me, be able to, "Oh my gosh, I look like Christopher." That's hard, so that's a huge part of the healing
Yeah,
process.
no, we were very similar in a lot of ways. If it's up to you if you want to say no, if you want to say yes. And I think what it is being authentic. I think if you feel like dancing, you dance. If you don't, you don't.
Right, right.
It is what it is. But and again, you know, there's phases, and I was saying Jackie before we came on. I think initially in the numb phase, forget it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do any of those things. But as it evolves, but like and you know what else is another thing too, and I've learned this in grief is you want to give yourself an escape route. Like I went to a gathering on Sunday. It was a baby shower for my one of my son's best friends growing up, and his mom and I are very, very close. And we raised the kids together. They were,
mm,
same school, grade, sports, all the things. We carpooled, and we used to have those talks by the pool of what they're going to be like when they're
yeah,
older and have kids of their own.
yeah,
So this brought up a lot for me in terms of that, like really looking at that. But and I got to a point where I stayed for a couple hours, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to get upset. It's starting to hit me. So I was like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get going, and it's okay.
yeah,
And my friend, she knew. She said, "I know this is hard for you. Thank you. I love you." And she hugged me, and that was it. But and I just and I have to say, I'm very graced by some really close friends who really understand. And I don't know that any of them did. I don't think they even knew what to expect. This is such a shock. It's who
yeah,
loses a child. What do they know? They don't know. But
yeah,
I've had people say to me like, I'm so glad you're here," kind of thing, and I'm like, wow, I take that in like, okay, I'm so glad I'm here too. I
uh-huh.
don't think I got that much of a like, wow, they really
Yeah,
appreciate me.
they miss you and they see
Yeah.
that you're starting to participate in
Right.
life again.
For sure.
That's
Well,
what I see.
and I think initially too when I showed up, I was completely different. But I and it's one of the things that, we're gonna talk about when dealing with other people in my open house. I'll mention that, but is that tell people what you need, tell people what you're feeling in a polite way,
Mhm.
I'm just not into that right now, or you know what I really would love to do? I'd really love to go take a walk, or whatever it is that you feel like you
Yeah.
need, and
Mhm.
that's okay. That has given me, I think there are positive changes. That is one of them for me. I have a lot more courage,
Mm.
you know.
I'll say, "You're here with me."
Yeah, that's for sure. Keep
Oh,
showing up.
yeah, yeah, you keep showing up. Well, let's see. And Tracy, put up there, I think it was Tracy that's oh, yeah, said, "Always say no, thank you," which
Mm,
is straight to the point, right?
all you
She said,
gotta
"I was
do.
even like that great raising my granddaughter. I don't put up with the yucky things of the younger moms, and yet they do get upset. I found them coming to me."
You have a cousin.
Oh,
You
it's
have a cousin.
my cousin Judy's on here. My cousin Judy. My okay, one from one
How do
Italian
you
to another.
how do you say f say it, please? Uh,
Well, Fugazzotto.
Fugazzotto. Oh,
Uh-huh.
sounds like an
Yeah.
appetizer.
It's a long spelling. Yeah,
It's
it is a long
wonderful.
spelling, and I'm very proud of my roots.
Wonderful.
In fact, Judy, on a side note, I was given a box of photos, and I found in there a red album, and it had a bunch of pictures of the black and whites in there, and it was like pictures of Nonny, my Nonny,
Wow.
and my Pap and my mom, Frankie, who Judy and my mom were very close cousins growing up. And then
Oh.
I got to be Judy was like running between my mom and me,
Mhm.
and so I used to hang out with Judy a lot and just miss her. So one of these days
Yeah.
we're going to get together again, right? Cuz I hope that you're going to get to come over here or wherever I'm going to end up being. I don't know. So I just really love and support that she's here. It makes my heart
That
really warm.
that
And she got to meet Randy when Randy was like 2 years old. We went to Washington D.C., which makes me, um, yeah, just makes
yeah.
me have a good feeling in my heart.
Sure,
Uh,
sure.
So I wanted to just take a little detour and just talk briefly about the Psalms and the
Mhm.
author of the majority of the Psalms, which is most of you guys know is David, who's the one of his scriptures is the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Many of you have been given this probably in cards and people probably texting it to you. So, I wanted to say I've been watching The House of David, and I don't know if you watch it. It's
Mm.
absolutely done so well. And so David was amazing. I had some favorites in the Bible. Now I'm really leaning towards David because the way they portray him is really done very well in this series. And
What
why
is that
did
what is that on? So we could
it is on Amazon
Oh,
Amazon
Prime?
Prime,
Oh,
uh-huh.
nice. Okay, great.
And then, so I did like a binge and I must have watched, I don't even know how many of them, but it was just so good and really bringing Saul to life and everything. But, often you think about like when you read the Psalms, it's like there's a lot of emotional,
Mm.
the graph on the emotional just is like all over the place, because why did David write the Psalms? And I wrote down just a few.
Hmm.
So obviously to worship and praise God, to lament and to cry for help.
Wow.
A large portion of David's Psalms are laments, prayers written during distress or persecution. And if you're familiar with David's story, David was a very humble young man and was considered, what they would refer to as a bastard because, Jesse married another, well, or had him through another woman because
Mm.
of the lineage. I mean, there's so much that goes back there, but nonetheless, uh, to confess sin and seek forgiveness when he sinned, especially after his affair with Bathsheba, right? And then
Mm.
then they end up, where is it? They end up having a son, right? Because and his name was Absalom, and the baby boy died. So there was, in fact,
Mm.
he's lost two children to teach and encourage others. Some psalms, like Psalm 37 and 119, are instructional, showing others how to live faithfully and trust God's word. David was sought out by Samuel. Samuel was a prophet who knew that David was going to replace Saul. Saul made the terrible decision to get puffed up as a king instead of
Mm.
following the Lord, the King of all kings. He ended up taking it too much to him into himself and wearing
Right.
that crown and feeling filled up with pride. And Samuel kept warning him and warning him, warning him. And so David went through a lot
Mm.
to become the anointed one because he killed, the giant. He killed Goliath. And they brought him up into this full big place. And then all of a sudden he's brought down. He's having to hide out in the wilderness because now Saul's jealous because he finds out that he's supposed to be the next king. So
Mm.
David was like, talk about being put through the refiner's fire, born into this world, not really wanted, separated out from his brothers, stuck into the pasture with the sheep, shepherding the sheep, and never allowed to go into fight and didn't understand why. But see, all that time, God had David being just filled up and molded and shaped just like we are.
Mm.
There's times where we talked last night at the leaders meeting about walking this life with a limp. We will walk this life with a limp. Now, that sounds very derogatory, but losing a child or going through any catastrophic moment is a constant reminder that God has taken us through the refiner's fire. God has molded and shaped us to where He wants to fulfill His mission on this earth in order to help His people ultimately to get to our special room that He has gone ahead and He has prepared. He has gone ahead and prepared for all
Mm.
of us. And imagine last night we said on the meeting, in the meeting with the leaders, can you imagine when you meet Jesus face to face, if you close your eyes and you just think about it and the things he's going to say to you? And one thing I shared with the leaders last night is he's going to say, I know this has been a very difficult journey for you. I've seen you cry. I've
Mm.
seen the tears. I've caught them. I've collected them. And I know that this has been seemingly unfair, but I have gone ahead and I have made this special room, and I'm gonna put in a suggestion as to what kind of mattress I want. But, just to say that he's like, "Now come to the banquet table, and you're going to get to meet all of those warriors, the men and the women, the Bible that have just given us instructions
Mm.
such as David." I told you we're taking a little detour, but I really wanted you to take another look. No, it's good, it's intentional,
No, that's
to
good.
read the Psalms because you're going to understand the lamenting process when
Mm.
someone actually went through so much in order to fulfill the promises of God. And in the end, of course, he's held up like Jesus comes from David's lineage. So it's a direct line. So David, and when they show the David taking down the giant Goliath,
Mhm.
it seems like a fairy tale, but at the end of the day, when because there were giants back there, I can't think of the name, but I'm not going to even say it, of the name of that breed of human that came
Oh,
around. But
okay.
the way that they took him, somebody's probably going to put in the comments what it is. The way that he took the giant down was absolutely. It's an epic scene. So you've got to watch it. House of David. You really, I mean, these shows, the way that these people, these directors, everything, I really feel like it's part of God's plan to help us to
Mm.
really bring these people to life, that we just see their words written down and everything, but this really does make us have a personal
No,
connection with
and
them.
they do it, and I'm not sure about the House of David, but I know with The Chosen, I mean, they bring it back to
Yes.
today's vernacular and language so that you can
Yeah.
really take it in, so and then you're like, "Wow, I knew that story, I've read that before, but I now that I see it, wow, does it hit different?"
Well,
For
you
sure.
grow attached to the character. You grow attached to who David was and how humble that he was. And even the women that were Saul's daughters in the movie, you saw
Mm,
the division between the two daughters because Saul intentionally put David with the sister that he didn't want to be with. I
mhm.
mean, Saul was a very bad he was a bad dude. But in the end, he ended up, getting to pay the price, unfortunately. So, but anyway, I just encourage you guys to read the psalm. Like some people have just started and read through it
Mm,
for the month. It's very, very good. So that's
it's
what
good.
really what I wanted to say about David.
Absolutely. So, we're just and you wrote that in here. Even Jesus, you wrote in here too, my little script, Lisa, healing doesn't mean returning. It means becoming. And that's kind of what I was saying. We evolve, not dissolve. So returning, I mean, there's this could be multifaceted. Even Jesus after resurrection carried scars. And it's interesting because our scar tissue, although very tough, if it's nicked at, hurts very much. So again, there's activation moments, but there is scar tissue there and you will heal. Then he said, and so one of the things, what's happening over there? Okay.
I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
I'm trying to talk through this and I'm
I'm
here.
so sorry. I
That's
didn't know you
okay.
could hear it.
You kind of could. Anyways, yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay, that's my water.
But anyway, it says your scars are holy too. Even he had these scars, but he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put into my side. Stop doubting and believe." He was part man. He was half man, half God, and so he suffered. And to witness that, doubting Thomas, when he came back after the resurrection to the apostles, and he did that, um, just shows unapologetic. He's different. He's changed. He's forever changed. What
Yeah.
does that mean? We don't know. And again, it's evolved, not dissolved. So you have to keep on evolving on His word, and it's okay if joy looks quieter now. And what's learning that we're unapologetically different. And I don't. And again, maybe this is just my experience,
Are you
but
gonna say that you're not you're unapologetically.
I'm not. I don't apologize. I mean, this is who I
Why
am.
does that not surprise me?
I'm authentic. It's you're not gonna
It's
get I
the
don't know how to
it's
be
the
fake.
Sicilian in you, I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say things, but hopefully nicely. But it's just this is who you are now, and again, it's giving yourself grace. It's giving yourself the permission to be who you are. I don't mean to be mean, or if you're coming off
No.
as being argumentative and all that, then you've got something's going on. You need to talk it out.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we do in our groups too, and to get that emotion out. But I think, in a deeper level for sure. Like I love that my daughter wrote thing about how a smile, the importance of a smile. She wrote like a whole paper on this. And it's so amazing because just to show love, like today I take a water aerobics every morning, Jackie knows. And like even to see these people, just to smile, and like maybe
Mhm.
I wouldn't have done that before, but I connect with people now differently. I can't
Mm.
explain it. Like, and but then I also appreciate way more every moment. And there's a flip side to that. There's some anxiety of what if this could happen and that. I have another daughter, and she gets in the car but I have to let all that go. I can't
Very good.
worry because I have to give it up to God because it is what it is. This is our life. We can only take one step at a time every day, right? Do
Yeah.
the best we
Amen.
can. But I do find myself living way more authentically, like, and I've told this story before, soon after Chris passed, we had gone out with a bunch of friends, and it was a hard thing. It was probably about 6 months or so. And, we were all connected by our sons. They all played sports together. I think there was like 5 or 6 couples. And I said it, because I could see them all looking at me like, oh, we can't talk about this. We can't talk about that. And I gave him permission. I said, look, you guys are going to talk about what you're going to talk about. It's okay. And guess what? I'm going to talk about Chris too, even though he's not with us anymore.
Right.
He's still my son,
Yeah.
you know? So
100%.
so I don't know that I would have been that bold before, but I
Yeah.
felt like I needed to. And there's times when, because I didn't want to be that person that, oh, we can't call them anymore because they
Hmm.
lost a
Yeah.
child. We're not going to invite them anymore, which
Yeah.
may have happened. I mean, there's people, what's interesting is some people step up that you never would have expected. Never. I mean, we're dealing with other people, we're talking about that, and how to what people expect of you, and then there's other people that kind of go away. And again, I wrote here, some walk away and some walk towards.
Mhm.
Some
Mhm.
can't handle, and it's different with, I think, your family, with your friends, with your close friends, with your acquaintances,
Yeah.
So, but who you are is that same person. And Jackie, you said it many times. You feel like, and not always, but sometimes you feel like you have that scarlet letter.
Yeah.
Like, do they know? Like
Mhm.
today, the water aerobics teacher. She's funny. She kind of picks on me, like, "Are you breathing, doing things?" So after the class, I said to her, "You're kind of picking on me, aren't you?" She goes, "No." She goes, "You have potential." She was talking to me, and I said, "Yeah, I really, really, really want to get in shape." I'm talking to her, and she goes, "So tell me about yourself." And the first thing that popped out of my mouth, I don't know why. It's been 7 years. My son died. Like I felt
Well,
like
of course.
I said to her, "Well, I've been through a real tragic 7 years." I said, "My son passed," and oh, she grabbed my hand, and you know,
Hmm.
I was in the water and she was up here. I almost pulled her in, but that's another story. But anyway, no. But she's like saying, "Oh, she's going, yeah," and I'm, yeah, but she's going, "Oh," and so now I'm thinking,
Oh,
"Oh, now she's going to be treating me differently. Why did I say that?" Then I had to let it go. But I wanted to kind of like say, like, yeah, I am determined, like, but
you
it's
know what? I think that in that moment, I mean, your identity is in Jesus,
yeah.
obviously. Your identity is not in the fact that you lost Chris. However, it
Well,
is the limp that we talked about that you walk with, and so therefore it is walked with you for 7 years. And so,
mm,
yes, so many things are there with you. So when we go into a situation, how about this, everyone? And hi Sandy and hi Debbie, is that instead of going into a situation and being concerned about being treated special or uh, being worrying about not talking about the situation, how
mm,
about if we go into situations to where we're like, I'm the messenger.
mm,
My story of my son, my story of my daughter, I'm the messenger, because
mm,
that water aerobic instructor may be going through something really
mhm,
tragic, or they may even know someone, and hey, they need somebody that is going to have a community for her friend that's lost. Go into there as you are in a messenger, because ultimately That's what we are. No
Mhm.
matter where we are going, Jesus has called us to be his messenger, his disciples, to go out, right? To Judea and Samaria, and all those places, just like he told his disciples.
Right.
They all experienced Jesus, you know, boots to the ground with him, but we've experienced Jesus in another way. I think it's even a more special way because we've just had to live through what we heard about him and have that faith, even though we haven't been able to see. And you will, Debbie, be the messenger of your son's life, and you're
Right.
carrying a legacy for those kids. So, yes, you are different. You are different than you were, but as this theme says tonight, it says, "Let me be me. Let
Yes.
me be me, the child, the daughter of God that has made me be
Mhm.
in this place for such a time as this, in this broken world that is hiding behind their computers and putting nasty things in their phones and putting nasty things and all the things that they do. Instead of being their messengers, they're trying to sack the quarterback. They're
Mhm.
trying to knock down and put out the messenger. And in the end, it's like, when I get to heaven, it's not what I'm looking forward to, but it's gonna be a beautiful little extra special treat is when I can hear Jesus, when you can hear Jesus say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You went through this horrific landslide. You've been through hell on earth, and yet you keep following and trusting me,
Mhm.
even when it was so dark." And that's where we kind of come to a full like ending to this month of being held in
Mhm.
the darkness. He has held you all in the darkness. You may not have felt it, but he has been there because otherwise you wouldn't be here right now. And
Mhm.
like my cousin Judy, she's lost both of her brothers, her mother, her father, right? Hi, Teresa. So she has also experienced grief. There's a lot of different types of grief, and it's a place to where you love somebody so much and you have this like, but I can't love them anymore.
Right.
You
Well,
can't hug them.
and one of the definitions of grief is love with nowhere to go. Where do you put that love now? And so it's kind of like where do you place that? And so, like Debbie was saying, I want to be the messenger in my son's life. I want to honor my son by living in the virtues for which the highest virtues I can, and spread as much love as I can. That's all it's about. And hopefully, when we get to meet them in heaven, it is all about love.
Mhm.
And he can say, not only God, but our kids can say, "Mom, I'm proud of you." Even though this was hard, even though all those things, thank you, Mom, for
Hmm.
and that is I don't want to be, and again, I want to evolve and not dissolve. I don't want to be on the couch, although there's a time and a purpose for that. But I could say Sunday I was we say we don't say triggered anymore, it's activated. That's the new term in terms of getting an emotional response from something that reminds
Mhm.
you. But that I dug, and this is a pure example of our theme for the month in terms of digging out of that dark moment. I was really feeling, I could feel it like I would, I got in the car,
Mhm.
I felt it, and I thought, okay, but and this comes with time and learning and just knowing that that feeling is not going to last forever. It really isn't. But it is
Right.
it is it is an effort on your part. It is you have to kind of push towards not
You
feel
do.
lingering in that. So,
Yeah, you do.
yes.
I agree. And if I can say like, if I were to be a David and I had to care for a flock,
Mm.
in our Grieving Moms Finding Hope, it's like we have our leadership team. And I have got the honor and privilege to tend to them and be there for them. They are my priority in this ministry. I mean, you guys are all my priority, but these leaders are the ones that are going out and they're being brave. And yet with every one of you, like Lisa, for one, I can say to her, like, I am so proud of the growth that she's had from don't even bother asking me to come on here. I just no, no, no. I mean, it was a flat out no many times, and
I
that's
don't
okay.
remember that. I don't remember that. But
Well, of course you don't.
I really don't, but, it's interesting. So there you go. There's the evolution of me in a way, because I wouldn't have done that, but I feel so deeply about this. I don't ever want a mom to feel that they're alone, to feel that they can't take steps in the right, with God and find that love again, and continue on. So, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's funny because I don't like to watch these. And there's some actors. I think it was Paul Newman or one of them that said he never ever watched his movies, and that's the way it was with me. Last week I watched it a little bit, and I thought, oh, you know what, we're pretty good together. Kind of bouncing ideas off.
It
So,
was absolutely adorable because she sent and there was a picture that she sent to me, and it was a frozen, like, part where she was saying something, and I just kinda did this, like, because like, Lisa just will say things and it just makes me laugh. You guys don't even know half of it, the stories she does tell. But, like, Lisa being one of, the how many leaders do we have? I don't
I think
know.
it's like almost 19 or 20. I don't know.
20, I was just gonna say, and so
Hmm.
but every single one of them and, shepherding being a shepherd to this flock, and I mean that with all due respect
Mm,
because it's an honor for me because they sometimes, a lot of times have to shepherd me, and but to say that I have seen them all step up into this position that
yeah.
they have been called to, and they could have said no countless times, and they've been in situations where their own grief is really just holding them down, and they're still in that dark, frozen place. There's times, but
Hmm.
yet they keep going out into the trenches, and they're talking to these women that are in their groups, whether they're on a Zoom, whether they're in a church, whether they're in their own home. They show up for these women, and in the end, when you help other people, the God of all comfort that gives us the
Mm.
comfort so that we can then comfort others, as the
Oh,
scripture goes in
and
Corinthians.
absolutely. I mean, we gain just as much. But what's interesting, what came up last night in the meeting was an example. I'll just kind of generalize of why do you want to go to those retreats or those groups? Isn't that
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
sad? Like
yeah,
all these mom, like the vision of or the impression that we're all just sitting around crying and weeping,
yeah.
and I didn't say it last night because I was kind of just listening to the meeting, but I wanted to say it's just the opposite. I think when you get together, you're free to talk about things you don't typically talk about. Um, and it is so refreshing to hear that you're not alone and you've experienced some of the same things, and how did that person overcome it. And again, connection is the issue. I think, when I read this somewhere, is not, you're not looking for closure. There's no closure. You're not going to bring your son back, you're not going to bring your daughter back, but to connect with other moms, and and through this ministry, I should say, and that was the other caveat I wanted to mention, was there are some there may be some groups that are kind of delving into and are negative and always like, that's not us though. This ministry
Hmm,
brings and hence our theme for the month, brings so much light and
it does.
hope. That is the difference. The hope here is just, it's heartwarming. It gives me chills to think about it,
Well,
because
it's true, and I think it's like if you were to take any situation that people struggle with in their life, so in our case, we're women that have lost a child, so we have a community of women that gather together so that
right.
we can, iron sharpens iron, we can build each other up. It's our base camp, if you will. If you were look at climbing a mountain, that's what we're going to be doing for the retreat is like climbing virtual mountains. But we're at this base camp together and we're all preparing, working together as a team. Here, you carry this amount of stuff in your pack. I'll take the poles, you take the canvas. Can you take the bear box? And now, have you guys trained? Have you done all your push ups? Have you got your ropes? Now we're going to climb together. So we're going to climb together. In if you're in a group of like surviving, coming out of alcoholism or drug addiction, you're in a community to where you guys are building again on each other. And then this is where you heal. And then Jesus sends you up your mountain and whatever those mountains are. But ultimately, it's to help other people.
Hmm.
Right? So you're right, it's opposite. It's not that we're all in this little tiny camp of like here
Right.
passing tissue boxes and doing that. Granted that's going to happen, but that's part of the healing process.
Well,
right?
and being able to be, and again, authentically who you are in that moment and saying, "This really hurt me. This really got me." And, Tracy's saying, "Rochelle's a great leader. Tammy and I have been great leader together. So much love from them." And Debbie, thank you for that. I'm glad I helped you understand you're not alone. I mean, you don't ever want to think that you're part of this club, but it's when you're part of it. Like we always say, we laugh as hard as we cry sometimes, and so you
I get to coin that.
did yeah, I said it first though, but I'll let you have it. But
You did?
I did.
Okay, we're gonna give you a quote book.
I totally said I can remember saying, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We just do it because I didn't think I would live. I didn't know so talking about I had no idea what to expect to go to this retreat. I am forever bonded with these women, and I can call them friends, and it's so sad and tragic to bond over this, but that there's such a sacredness of it somehow. It's so rich in
It
this
is.
relationship, and just to hug another mom that's been through it, and to have these conversations. And then Jackie brings it back, not so much me as much, but Jackie brings it back to such a deeper, evolved meaning with Christ and hope, and it's hard to put in words sometimes.
It really is, and
Mhm.
so the testimony is because this retreat, including leaders retreats, will be how many for you?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see, I'm 7 years out. Probably about 5 or 6, I don't know. But
Yeah,
I
and every one.
well, I've been to, I think, 3 actual retreats and then probably 2 or 3 leaders retreats, so I have to
Yeah,
differentiate,
and
but
they're all different. I mean, they
they're all
all have the
yeah.
same they have, a lot of the great foundation, obviously God's word, but there's a lot of things that we do differently, and every time someone comes to the retreat, you've gotten to meet someone, and
Mm.
then you pay it forward to them, where you were and where you are
Well
now, so
well, and 2, there's just walking into this, you don't know what you're gonna expect, but and even in the groups, if you're watching this and you wanna be a part of a group, you know, Jackie guides us in terms of how to work with you, and there's a whole curriculum set up, which is nice. I mean, it's the book, and I always bring it out. She doesn't, and she's humble. This
God
is the
bless
book
you.
that Jackie wrote. It's called Resurfacing for a good reason because we have. If you don't know the story, we fall into our landslide. We're covered. We're frozen, and then somehow we resurface into the world, and we begin to live. And then what do you do? So there she is. Stacy is our
Oh,
wind,
hold on a
the
second.
wind beneath our wings. If you don't know who
Do you know
Stacy
that
is.
we're on Facebook Live just right now?
Oh my goodness, no. I didn't I'm trying to work.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to bring you on Facebook Live right now, Stacy.
Hi,
This is
Stace.
Stacy who works for the ministry. I'm showing their picture.
Mhm.
She's working very hard to
Yeah.
prepare for tomorrow. We love you, Stacy. I'll call
All
you
right,
back.
sorry guys. I'll have to join in a few minutes.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. I kept hearing my
Stacy.
phone. Uh,
Stacy's such a blessing, but she's a power, right?
yeah, she's a powerhouse, but
She's
she's got
something.
all the last minute things, and I'm picking her up.
Mm.
Probably, actually, ironically, I'm picking her up 12 hours from now.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Oh
And
my
I
good.
have not a stitch of,
You're
like,
not
clothing in my
packed.
suitcase.
Oh, okay. We're
But
gonna have
that's
to
okay
cut it.
because I'm kind of been around us. Anyway, I don't know where we were, but Rose
No,
B,
I
hi,
don't
thank you
either.
so much for being here. And Debbie, I'm so glad that Lisa has been a blessing to you. And
Mm.
actually, it's Rosemarie, not Rose B, but that's what your thing says. Well, let's go and say,
Oh, how funny.
to wrap things up, a
Yeah.
reflection.
Hmm.
So ask yourselves
Yeah.
this. Um, what part of your old self do you grieve the
Mm.
most? You can put that in the comments right
Right.
now if you
Mm.
are. Hi, Eileen.
Yeah.
But so again, put in the comments, what part of your old self do you grieve the most? That's one question. And these
Mm.
can be questions you can just reflect on later.
Right.
How has God met you in your new self, even when you didn't feel ready for her?
Mm.
And then here's another one. What would it look like to let go of who you were and trust God with who you're becoming? That's big.
That's
Hi,
big.
Karen. Oh, um, and let me just close. Well,
Mm.
not 100%. I'm just going to pray this prayer. I'm going to read it. You guys can close your eyes. And it's, Lord, You see the woman I used to be, and you see the one I'm becoming.
Hmm.
I miss her, the one before loss. But I thank you that you're still here, still holding me. Help me not to rush back to who I was, but to rest in who you're shaping me to be. In my brokenness, make something beautiful again.
Mm.
Amen.
Amen.
And I want this, I'm going to say this quote quite often because I just learned this in my Bible study. Christy McClelland, which she's fantastic speaker and
Mm.
yeah, does Bible studies. But this is a very deep quote by Cory Booker. Hope is the active conviction that despair won't have the final word.
Wow, that's terrific. Well,
Bam, right?
Cory Booker comes from Jersey, and he's our senator. Yeah,
Same? Yeah?
yeah, Cory Booker, sure.
Okay.
He's our
The first
senator.
time that I had heard about him.
Oh no, he's wonderful. He's a New Jersey senator, and hope is the active conviction that despair won't have the final word. Wow, that's really good. It's
Hmm.
true. It's true. And there's another one. A hope is like a little thing. It says, "Hold on, pain eases."
Hmm.
HOPE.
Ah, right.
Hold on, pain eases.
Yep.
And I changed it from ends because I don't know. As a grieving mom, it
I'm telling
eases.
you, I see a quote book or a Lisa isms. Oh my gosh, Stacy.
Jersey. That's what Debbie says. It's
um,
true, it's true, but that's a great quote. He's very well spoken. I enjoy listening to him as well. But honoring who you're becoming, that was just a phrase that I came to that. And it's okay to be who you are that day. But I think again, I think if we were to rename this tonight, Jackie, you could say who is your authentic, and I think we're all still learning. Isn't that the evolution of life? We're becoming our authentic selves. But
it's true.
it's completely changed. You are
Right.
changed.
And just the let me be me is
Mm,
let me be me who God is designing me to be,
right,
like, in
right,
that process. Don't make me look back. I mean, when we drive our car, we don't drive looking in the rearview mirror, right? We also don't drive looking at the hood. We drive looking
right.
outward, and that's what we have to continue to do. So
And
yeah, those questions are good to ponder on, ladies,
and there's a new normal, like you always say. There's only normal in a what did you say? A normal in
on
a
the dryer.
on the dryer cycle.
Yeah,
The myth of back
there
to
is.
normal. There is no back to normal.
But I mean, ultimately, to again,
It's a new normal.
it is a new normal.
Mhm.
Um, but
Mhm.
ultimately, it's like, what is the whole purpose of being here? And we always laugh about Lord of the Rings, and Gandalf
Mhm.
said, "All you need to do is figure out what to do with the life that you've been given."
Mm,
That's what he says. And but Jesus is really want you to figure out what it is that he wants you to do for the
right,
rest of your life.
right.
No
I
matter
mean,
what has happened. This
right.
is not a period at the end of the sentence, friends.
Yeah, and I should say there are some women, and I can speak for myself, who have gone on and created, like Jackie actually has created a ministry. Some have done things in their son's honor or their daughter's honor, and for me, it's just been a leader. So whatever it is you choose to do, whatever it is, it's okay. Whether it's grand or whether it's simple or whether it's just getting through the day, you know.
Yeah. Amen.
So, hmm
Amen. Well,
so
thank you guys all for
yeah.
being here. I know that there is a walk-in closet and a suitcase that is calling my name, and I've done it so many times, but there's always something that I panic about. I get a little anxiety in the morning when that alarm goes off. Like, I'm sure we're all in the same boat. Like, you're like, and and all the stuff I got to prepare for my dogs. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm making dog food right now. I've got to go get it from outside and I got to put it in bags.
Remind me how many you have again?
I
If
have 2 huskies and a little 8-pound
oh,
little.
so the
Yeah.
2, okay, alright. I thought you had more huskies for some reason. Alright,
No, no, no.
okay,
No, that's enough for right now.
wonderful.
But,
Okay, people.
yeah. What are you gonna
Alright, well,
tell them, Lise?
safe travels. You know what? You're gonna be okay.
Yes. You're gonna be okay. God bless you guys. Have a good night.